Okay, so like I said, we're going to start another example model tonight. This is simply a in addition to, not necessarily an addition to, but a different example of way you can model a phone stand. Now, the example I'm going to be replicating, but making it a little differently, because why not? I built this stand last semester. This is just simply drop in your phone, and has a little megaphone thing attached to it, or built into it. Now, one of the things I want to show you how to do tonight is take like my phone itself. So let me hide the actual stand. So full model of the phone case that I have. I got one of the fancy life-proof cases. And I want to start a new project with that rather than having to save the whole thing and delete stuff and build on top of whatever. Now, there's nothing saying you can't build multiple models within the same file. That's perfectly fine. And if you want to go for that way, go for it. But I just want to be able to show, I just want to show you all different ways that you can work. The other thing I want to show you all tonight is the section analysis tool, which is over on the inspect section. Now, so far, we've only used inspect to use for measuring, measure. But open up and you'll see a whole bunch of different other examples. And one of the ones that is really excellent to use is the section analysis. And what this does is it takes a cross section of your model. Think of it exactly like when we were making the revolved vessels, where you were just starting with one profile and revolving that. Well, this is the idea of taking an actual cup and slicing it in half entirely rather than just in a quarter. So what that can do for you is what I've already built into this is you can chop your model in half visually. This is not affecting the model itself whatsoever. This is simply an observational tool, but it can show you what's inside. And how I built this model is this was all solid here in the intersection. And I built the sketch on top of the surface of the cross section and made a cutout. Now, are there easier and better ways to do that? Absolutely. But for what we've covered so far this semester, this is an excellent way of just tweaking the tools we've already learned how to use and adding a little bit more to that. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that tonight. First, and again, this is simply a observational tool. So it adds a new tool in the hierarchy tree. Up at the top says analysis, hide that, and bloop, goes back. So first thing I want to do is I don't want to have to remake this model of my phone before moving on, nor do I really want to build another model within this same file. Simply as an example, if you want to, you're very welcome to do exactly that. But to do so, let me hide the stand and all the other crapola. I just want this. So in order to do this, you would think, okay, great, I can just select, and it grabbed all the things in there, and it would be a copy and paste. There is a trick to that because I am simply copying the bodies themselves. If I were copying the entire component, it would be copying the bodies, the sketches, and any other relevant information for this. I just want the finished model body. I don't need all the sketches or anything. I'm not going to make any modifications. So the thing with that is you have to disable what's called the history, the whole slider down here. You actually have to disable that from the model. It's a pain in the ass, but it does make sense when you consider that why you have to do that is because you don't want to copy all of that information. So to do that, you simply go up to where you're working, in this case, bodies, or in this case, I put this all into a single little subfolder here. And instead, I'm just going to copy just the case. I don't want to copy all the things there. Right click on there, and then where are you? Where did it go? Did I lose it? Or is it on the component? There we go. Sorry, it's on the full component. I got confused again. You have to go up to the uppermost part of your hierarchy tree relevant to that model, meaning that if this were a separate component, I'd just do that. But here it's the whole thing. So right click on the whole to do there where it says fold holder example. All the way at the bottom here, it says do not capture history. So, yep, that's fine. That'll turn off your history for the moment. Now I can just do a selection. I can just select the whole thing there. Now I can Control C or Command C, do that. Start a new project. If I go over here, Control V, crap, nothing's happening. Same deal. Go up to the uppermost component. If you're working on a new component, start new component. We'll just say phone case, if I can spell. There we are. Now that I have now I have started a component inside, I can right click on the component that says phone case all the way down. Where'd it go? Oh, no, it is on the uppermost. Sorry. Do not capture history. Okay, so it's always on the uppermost. I forget that sometimes. Now Control V, blam, drops it in. Hit OK. Now that the model is, the body there is in your new file, now you can go back up, right click, capture design history, it reactivates your history slider. Again, makes sense once you work your way through it, but it's still a pain to have to do this workaround. Okay, cool. So now I have that. I'm just going to go back and make sure to reactivate the history slider, my old model. Cool. Close that out. Now, like I said, first thing you definitely want to do, save. Save new model. Now we're working in the current here. Yep. Example. Amplifier. Neato burrito. Okay, great. So now within this, I do have the origin and bodies, but you see what I mean? There are no sketches within this. So that's why, or at least that's what they tell you. All right. So what I want to do is I want to make this into, like I said, a little stand, little slider stand, and some kind of like a megaphone sort of design. Cool. Well, one of the things we were talking about last week was construction planes. So first things first, I want to orient my design of this phone to match a angle, just because otherwise you don't want your phone sitting straight up because it could tilt over, or again, whatever you're doing. But if you give a little bit of an angle to it, makes more sense. So we'll put like a 10 degree, 15 degree angle on this. Okay. Select all the things, go to the right side, and I'm going to move this, press M or use the move control thing. I want to set pivot, because if I just rotate from here, well, it's going to rotate the whole thing, but I like working on the axis plane, meaning that my current work plane is the origin XY plane. I would prefer to work from there. So let me cancel that, goes back. Okay, reselect, move. Now what you can do, if you want to move an object or rotate especially, rather than from wherever it's clicked, where you're pre-designated, whatever, you can select a pivot point. So what you do is the fourth option, or the fourth row down here on your control box, set pivot, select there, and then I'm just gonna go somewhere down that way. Now it's not smack in the center, but that doesn't matter because I'm rotating it along that axis. Now it's done. The little green checkbox is there. Click it again. Now I can rotate from there. So from 90 back 75. That seems reasonable. Okay. Click OK. Great. Now I'm going to move this back to a better position. Now the problem here is now it's orienting to that angle. So I have to do that again. Select a point down at the bottom, something to that effect. Yeah, that ought to work. Or what I can do is select point to point. Click there. My origin is not active, so reactivate the origin. And I can actually use that as a selected point. Snaps over to there. So it's just an easy way, a couple of easy ways to move some stuff around and orient things. Okay, cool. That's all I wanted. All right, great. Now the phone model is in the middle, or I guess it needs to be centered a little bit better. We'll do one more move. I know, this part gets irritating. Yeah, do that. Point. Let's try to get that somewhere-ish in the middle. That looks about right. Okay, great. Cool. So now that's in the middle. And the only reason I didn't put this just straight up and down is because I want to be able to show you, again, how you can create a construction plane and work directly off of that rather than have to create something on the pre-given coordinate planes and then rotate things from there. So create a construction plane, but not an offset plane. I want one that is a plane at an angle. Now, again, I can create one just off of a plane, or I can work off of a pre-designated plane, meaning I can work off of the base of this actual model. So select one of those. There we go. And I'm just going to match that to 15 degrees. Other 15. There we go. So if I look to the right, you can see that is now matching that whole area. And what I did is I had selected just one of the lines on the model, and that's what it was working from. And then I set an angle off of that line. Okay, great. So now I can start building sketches directly off of that and not have to deal with rotating things and shuffling them and stuff like that. Again, it's just an easier way to work. Why measure stuff out when you can let the program do the work for you? There we go. Okay, cool. Now I can actually do some stuff. So phone case. Now, before I get into this, I want to go ahead and start another component because I want to keep these parts separate. Remember, don't start a component with a subcomponent active. Go back up to the very top, activate the whole project. Now start a new component. Otherwise, you will accidentally create a subcomponent nested inside of the other component. I know it starts getting a little confusing. Basically, you just start accidentally nesting things inside of one another rather than making completely separate things. So we'll go with this as and stand. Derp. Makes sense. Okay, cool. Select there. And one thing I may have accidentally done is made that I accidentally made that construction plane on the other doodad. Poop. Okay, cool. Well, that shouldn't be a problem. Let's finish that sketch. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that over there. Let's see if it'll let me click or if it'll let me drag it over. I don't think so. So we'll have to cut. Come on. Should be able to just drop this into the other. Or at worst, I will copy it from there, add into there. Nope, 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 no, 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 nope. Okay, crap. All right, well, we'll just play with this for a bit and see where my construction plane is. Is it active at all? There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's a pain, but that's all right. I should have created that construction plane on the other. So I'll just go ahead and do that real quick, just that way I'm not confusing the crap out of myself. New plane, plane at an angle, blah, 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 blah. Same deal. Off one of those lines, don't matter none. And backwards, -15. Same deal. Okay. Crisis averted. Construction plane now is on the correct component. There we go. Okay. Go back to that sketch that I started and messed up. So I'll probably have to, I'll have to delete that. Or what I could do is move that. Let's see here. Nah, I'll just delete it. There's nothing on there and there's nothing important about it. All right. So mainly I wanted to make sure that that sketch is after my construction plane, because if I go back and edit that first sketch, it's before the new construction plane existed in my history line. So making a computer time paradox, whatever. Anyway, it gets to be a pain. All right, new sketch. Now I'm going to work off of that component. Super freaking duper. All right. Now this does get a little tricky sometimes because you can't just snap to the top because now it's at an angle. So that is one of the drawbacks to working this way, but at least everything is already pre-aligned. So if nothing else, working from that sketch, let's see here. This is hidden at the moment. It's going to create a 3-point rectangle. That should be up there, but there we are. All right, right about there. That looks about right. Don't remember what my dimensions were. Let's see. I believe it was about 85 wide by should measure that. 15, that seems about right. No, completely opposite. 5 tab over 15. There we go. Now we got something going, brain. All right, so all I'm doing here is I just want to create a basic sketch to work from that will become the base of my little holder sleeve. All right, so that'll work. What I should have done. Have my calipers on hand just to double check my dimensions. So let me double check those dimensions for the shell of my phone here. 80 by 12. All right, cool. So it's about right. It's a little large. Remember, you can change that by double clicking on the existing line there. So 15 will make that more of 13, and same over there. What's going on? No, I just want 13. Get back around to the back here, get to that. I just want it to be more of snug without it being too tight. Okay. So if that's that large, I'm going to use an offset tool, select the whole box, and I want to make the sleeve about 3 millimeters wide. Oops, -3 because it's going the outside. Okay, great. Now the reason I'm doing it this way is just so that way if I do decide to change dimensions, it will always have a 3 millimeter wall. That's all. Okay, cool. So really that's it. I just need a quick little sleeve. Great, finished sketch. Okay, now extrude. And I just want the wall here. And remember that this is not extruding just straight up. It's extruding along that diagonal. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and build this all on the construction plane instead of on the existing plane, because it just eliminates having to finagle things back and forth. All right, so let's see here. I want this to go up enough to where it'll hold the phone easily, but not without it being like just ridiculous. So 75 millimeters seems about right. Go 75. Oops. Sure. Okay. All right. Now it is bottomless at the moment, so I'm going to reactivate that sketch because it always hides everything. I want to extrude again, and this one I'm going to select both of those and go downward about -3. Sure. There we go. My operation automatically goes to join. Great. So now I have all of this working as such. Now it's going to start getting confusing visually, so I'm going to switch to pre-assigned colors. So remember, shift in and colors. All right. So this now has a bottom built into there. Great. Now I do want to be able to access my touchscreen here. So I'm going to draw a sketch in the front. Rather than selecting the origin planes or anything like that, I'm selecting the front there. And let's work directly on here and just create a space on there. So let's see here. First, I'm going to do a construction line, match up to the center. All right, great. And that just shows me where my center is for no reason other than I just want a reference line there. Okay. Now, again, that is drawing all on the diagonal because I'm drawing on the surface itself. Okay, cool. Let's use a center point rectangle. This is not a construction. So now the reason I did that is that way I could find a center on both of those points, move upward. That matches. I'm not even really measuring. I'm just matching up. So there's at the top, matches up to the top lip. And then I want that mostly wide enough. So the whole thing is, what was it, like 90 inches and just millimeters wide? That'd be a huge phone, guys. Let's say, yeah, 70. That seems a good spot. Great. Okay, that's all I needed. Because from here, I'm going to do another extrusion. So press E or use the extrude, selecting that box, and I'm going to extrude inward to perform a cut. Now remember, I could either go ahead and do that manually, as in like try to get it right, or it should have a 3 millimeter wall. But again, what I want to do is make sure to build some of these elements parametrically, meaning that if I go back in history and change the dimensions, it will automatically change some of the elements. So instead of doing that by feel, by hand, or by measurement, I may hide the phone case so that doesn't get into my way. And when I go to extent type on the extrusion or the extrude toolbox, select there to object, and I'm going to select that inside wall of that extrusion. Now it chopped it all out, as of course the operation automatically switched to cut. But now if I went back in the history and changed that original sketch to that offset of like, all right, you know what, I decided I want that like 2 millimeters wide because it's too thick and it's used up too much material. This extrusion here will automatically switch to 2 as well, because it is dependent on the thickness of the wall. So you just start getting things that stack on dependency, but it's all, and effectively it all becomes relative to whatever previous dimensions were. I know it sounds very confusing that way, but effectively what I'm doing is, instead of actually putting in determined values, I'm just letting reference values get placed in. Basically, it's like an algebra, put in an X value instead of like a 4, you know, that sort of thing. So that way, when whatever X changes throughout your algorithm, now it's always going to change throughout instead of individually. Okay, that's enough math. All right, so that's just going to end up being just a little quick sleeve, kind of like kind of looks like a French fry box. Fries. All right, so I can just throw on like some general fillets here just to round this thing out, just for grins. All right, let's see here. Fillets for everybody. Top, let's see what that looks like. Ooh, roundy. I do want to go ahead and select more things than that. I want that one. And I'm just grabbing a bunch of faces here just to make whatever I can round it out. Can always make some changes later. We'll do 1. Sure, that seems about right. Okay, do another one for the edges, repeat fillet. Right click, repeat fillet, do that one. Now, as I'm doing this, if this runs into an error, I will note that I need to put this fillet before the one I just did. Let's see what it does here. No, okay, cool, that's fine. Just more of because the tops were already rounded. If it's trying to round a thing that's already been rounded, it might cause a problem. So that's one of those times where, like we were talking about before, you can do the same things, just sometimes it causes errors in your order of operations. So you might have to just swap a couple ones or a couple of positions. That's all. Let's round that out a little bit more. 2, sure, neato. Okay, cool. Great. All right, so that is simply just a little sleeve for the phone case. That's all. But like I said, that was all built off of that construction plane, so I didn't have to do any adjustments or aligning or anything like that later. As always, or as preferred, if you can, let the program do the work. All right, so now I do want to create a little kickstand here. So create a sketch, and on this part, I do want to use one of the origin planes simply because I'm working straight up and down. So, okay. Now then, let's see here. I don't know, something kind of sort of ish angle, blip bloppity bloop. We'll say it's a 60-degree angle just because it's a round number. Goes down to the construction plane. However, you know what? I want it to line up with that bottom of that point. Well, one of the things I can do is, instead of trying to measure out or pre-drawing a line, if you bring your cursor over to that bottom point, then come out, it should create a line. Yeah, it's not. Damn. Nah, that's all right. Probably need to have a line built already. All right. So tell you what, we'll just draw this straight out. Great, that'll work. So I want to, basically I'm just going to build like a triangle, maybe add some fancy features to it. But so I don't have, if this were, say, the back end of my stand were more complex instead of just a straight line. We talked about using the project tool last class. what you can do instead of having to trace that line or duplicate or anything like that, press P. That brings up the project tool, and you can just select that back line, hit OK. Now, let me zoom in, and it's got that little, and it turns purple. Let me hide the bodies on that. You can see it more clearly. So now that line of that back edge is purple, and you're just, all you're doing is copying that line to your current sketch. So you don't have to deal with anything. So you don't have to deal with tracing lines or anything like that. Like I said, if that were a more complex back edge, it'd be a pain to have to duplicate, but it's just straight lines. So there we go. Okay, cool. Right there, bottom of that, straight over. See, now it's got the dotted line. Sure, great. And just because we want to be fancy, let's add some features to it. Circle, middle there. Sure, 30. Cool, okay. Hit okay. Let me trim out some chunks here. That and that. Swell. And I'll put a, oh, whoop, forgot to trim that little tail there. Great. And let's tell you what, let's add a fillet to there and there. 2 sounds good. Do it again. There and there. 1 sounds good. Repeat fillet once more. There and there. 2 sounds good. Cool. Okay. Unhide the bodies. All right. So what I'm doing here is I'm just creating just that little stand there, or just that little kickstand. So I'm going to use an extrude. I'm going to select that surface there. Oops. Looks like it is not closed somewhere. What did I miss? So because it's not highlighting, that means something's wrong. All right. Click cancel. Go back into the edit sketch. What's the problem? Always the fun bit, trying to figure out what happened. Often when you use a fillet, it can sometimes create issues, and it might just be that because I created those fillets, it is not duplicating over that line. So let me just go ahead and trace over my projected line, just in case. That might be what's wrong. Yep, that was it. That's odd. Usually that would wouldn't have been an issue, but okay. So what the issue was simply that it wasn't reading my projected line as the last line in my sketch to close that drawing. And there you go. So finished sketch, super good. All right, the reason I wanted to show you that, and let me unhide the body again, is I want to do an extrude on that profile, but because that line is centered in the middle of my little holder there, well, I don't want to have to extrude one way and do another, yada, yada. So one of the other options on extrude direction, instead of one side, you could do 2 sides. So you could make it thicker on one side, thinner on another. Great for when we do hinges and such later in the semester. But for now, symmetric. And you can do, and so now it'll go symmetrically out both sides. You have options here. You can use the sliders as always. Also, you can do this at half length, meaning 5 millimeters one way makes 5 millimeters go the other way, or you can do it as a whole length. So, all right, if I do 5 millimeters, it's 5 millimeters across the whole thing. So it's 2.5, 2.5. There you go. Sure. 5 sounds reasonable. Great. Now it's going to say new body. I don't want that. I want it to join to that part there. Click OK. Okay, great. So now that is attached there. And you know what? Just to make it fancier, let's go ahead and put a couple of fillets on these edges here, where it meets, where that little kickstand meets the body, or meets the main part of the stand, just to make it a little bit smoother. Let's see, what's it giving me grief on? Okay, error is multiple selections. Don't know. Probably just means that because some of these are angled or such, it's just giving me trouble. So let's cancel it and we'll select just those edges there. Fine. Troubleshooting, always a good time, right? Okay. I don't know why it's giving me issues. So we'll just avoid it for now, and then I'll come back and play with it later. All right, cancel that. Great. Okay, so those were two easy ways to add that part. Well, like I said, what I want this to be is a stand that has like a little amplifier megaphone thing on it. So I can build this out as just a little megaphone thing. So I can use that as like a, say, a revolve tool. All right. So there's going to be something here. All right. Now I know that I'm going to need to make like a chamber. This probably I'm going to need to add to this a little bit more. So I might have to adjust my kickstand sketch. That's fine. But for now, what I want is some kind of a megaphone. All right. So let me start a sketch. Yeah, start a sketch. Okay. And it needs to come out from somewhere down here. So first, what I'm going to do is, let's just start a megaphone kind of shape. All right. Fit point spline. Something down there-ish. That makes sense. And we'll do kind of like a weird shape. Sure, fine. All right. Because I don't feel like drawing that again, use the offset tool. We'll put that at 2. Sure, 2's thick enough. Great. And now I just want to make this a circle on the end here, just because reasons. And then I'm going to make this down here flat. Cool. Okay. Close sketch. Hooray for everybody. Edit that out. Finish sketch. All right. Now we used the revolve tool last time, or last project there. There we go. And I'm going to use the major axis of the Y axis to give me my revolve. And what's going on here? Profile, 2 errors. Profile crosses the revolve axis. Oh, okay. Well, that just means I went too far down. Not a problem at all. What it's saying is I can't use the revolve there because it's actually touching the axis. So that's fine. Edit sketch. Select all the things there. And we'll just move that up a little bit. And let's go ahead and adjust that a little bit just so it's more of a bell housing. Cool. Might need to add just a little bit more height. Okay, great. Finish sketch. Now I can go back, use the revolve. There we go. Axis, center there. Bloop. All right, now I got a way too big megaphone, but that's okay. Because now what I can do is, in fact, adjust this, move it around, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I like that. New body, that's fine. Okay, cool. So obviously that ain't gonna work as it is. So one of the things I can do is just go ahead and I just want to move just the body there. Number 2, move. Let's angle that up a little bit. Remember, the whole thing is 15 degrees. Yay. And I'm just going to plop that up there somewhere because I'm going to make some adjustments to this anyhow. Clearly going to need to make some adjustments, especially because that don't fit right there just for now. But that'll be fine. Bless you. All right. That probably needs to be a bit larger also, but we'll deal with that later. All right. So I do need to go ahead and go back, add a little bit more of the bottom there. So let's see, where was that one? That was the, so that one. That's that extrude, that's that extrude. Too many extrudes. All right, edit that feature. That was the one. Okay, let's go down to -6. Just add, no, that's probably not nearly enough. 10, sure. Give us just a little more. There we go. So now I can see that where the bottom of that phone is, now I have a little bit more space there. And it really didn't adjust anything because I made use of a lot of parametric values as I snapped like that bottom line just to that bottom edge. So it basically redrew some of my sketches for me. So this is why it is really helpful to make use of just some using offset as opposed to redrawing a second line or referencing different things, that sort. Just makes things a lot easier. So if you need to go make some adjustments to some of your core actual or to your original sketches, it'll recalculate everything for you. All right, neato burrito. So I definitely need some sort of like a hollow space under here. let's see. Let's go ahead and first just connect those two. So go back to this move, slash edit, and I'm just gonna actually draw this so it makes contact with the body there. I'm not putting any real like value on it other than just, yeah, sure, that works. Okay, because I'm gonna join those together later on. But one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to show you how to use the sectional analysis tool, because what I'm going to do with that is I need to cut a hollow space into here. Well, how do you really draw inside of something? Now, of course, yes, I can just draw a sketch in there, but if I want it to match up with multiple things, that can get really complicated. So the section analysis tool is under Inspect and Section Analysis. All right. Now it is based off of construction planes, or rather your origin planes. So if I want to cross section off of the YZ plane, so the half and half there, select there if I can get to it. Problem is, you know, a lot of your times your models and such get in the way. So fine. Hide the whole thing. Now I can actually see what I'm doing there. Great. Unhide the whole thing. And that is just smack right in the middle. Now you can adjust how far out it goes just by clicking or just by dragging the arrow and such. Again, this is not affecting your model whatsoever. This is simply a way to view your model more internally. So I'm going to leave that at 0 just because it's smack in the middle in between all the things. Great. Show hatching. This is just showing a little cross section hatch marks, these parallel lines. Just makes it easier to see what you're working on. That's all. Excuse me. Okay. So I'm going to hide the phone just to get that thing out of the way. And what I want to use that my section analysis tool for is to create a hollow between these sections. And I just want that so I can see what I'm doing there. It's a little bit easier to work because I can now draw on this surface as well. So create a sketch, and I'm going to actually select my section analysis section there, because I can use that as a surface while it's visible. Remember, Fusion will work on anything that's visible. If you don't want it to work on something, hide whatever is also in the way. Cool. All right. I'm just gonna make like a hollow here. Let's see here. Go from the right side. Where's it going here? Can't see what I'm doing. Sketch. I don't know why it's not working on that. Fine, go away. I just deleted the sketch. It's all right. Oh no, I didn't. Hate when I do that. I always see the edit sketch instead of the hide sketch. Okay, cool. That's smack in the middle. I can work right off of there. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to create like a partial hollow space underneath. So I'm going to use a we'll use a ellipse. So my first point is I'm going to go in the middle there. There we are. Somewhere, something like that. And actually, that's not the kind of ellipse I want. Escape. I guess that's the only kind of ellipse I get. Fine. We'll use a circle then, jerk. There, and I just wanted to create like a partial hollow space underneath that I can manipulate in a minute. That sounds good. Move that up a little bit. All I'm doing is because I just wanted to make like a partial hollow, because obviously if I make the bottom the whole width of the bottom, well, the phone would just fall down through that. So there we go. Okay. Little circle, neato burrito, and I'm going to draw I'll just draw like a line out there. So we'll use the circle as a starting point, fit point spline, just so it kind of draws out there somewhere-ish. Sounds good. Now this one, I do want to create a second draw or a second line. So just starting somewhere at the bottom. That's fine. There we go. Brand. I'll show you why I'm doing it this way in a moment. Connect those. All right, so those are two hollow spots. Great. Hit finish. So what I can do here, the reason I'm doing it this way is that way I can just edit away some space. Now, here in the front, that isn't really going to make as much sense, so I'm definitely going to go back and do that. Don't know what I was thinking when I did that. But if I use my extrude, and I'm using this now to cut, actually I want that to go on both sides, so symmetric, there we are. And let's see here. Extent, that's only gonna let me do distance, so we'll do a partial extrusion, 30, let's say 30, cool. Okay, so see what I'm doing there is I just used it just to create a partial hollow at the bottom, that's all. All right, where'd that last sketch go? There you are. So ideally what I'd be doing is chopping some of this section away, but I think what I need to do is go back and edit that because that was just a dumb idea there. Let me chop out these splines here, or better yet, I can just adjust them. So, all right. So this one, I'm going to move down to where it meets right there. And about there, that seems about right. And then I'm going to move this one more of up and make some adjustments here. Acoustically, probably a really terrible idea, but just to give you the idea what I'm doing here. All right, I just wanted to be able to connect those so I can create a finished extrusion there. All right, super good. All right, so now extrude again, that one, I want this symmetrical going outward, and let me just try to swipe over here. Now I'm extruding a square into a round. That obviously causes problems, but I'm going to make an adjustment here and show you how I can make a square thing round to more or less fit. Are there better ways of doing this? Yes. Again, we'll show you that later. It's more of just using the tools we have done now in ways you might not expect. So again, yes, making a cut, great. Now it's going to chop out a really weird chunk. So let me hide the analysis tool and it will show me everything else. So it's going to be chopping out this weird square thing inside. Now it doesn't look like it came through anywhere, but that's still definitely not a good thing. So what I can do here is I'm going to step back, edit feature, and instead of going ahead and cut immediately, I'm just going to create a new body. Okay, so let me hide the, I should have labeled these. Where is the body? Oh, let me hide the other thing too, because I'm not seeing anything. Great, there we are. All right, so that's just that little weird cross section inside of there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the fillet tool on corners here and see how far I can round this out. Uh-oh. I stumped it. Let's see, 4 looks cool, about as close as I'm going to get for turning a square thing round. Okay, cool. So 4 millimeter fillet on all that. Click OK. Let calculate out. Body, super good. All right. So now what I need to do is first I'm going to use the combine tool up here, which is exactly what is built into like the extrude and all that, just that last selection box. This is just the separate tool. So again, if you're using any other program, this is the Boolean function. This just allows you to select between there. So what I want to do is join. My target body is the original base. Tool body is the amplifier horn. And click OK. Now it has joined those two into one body. All right. So just so I can try to confuse myself less, actually name some of those things. All right, so I'm going to do another combine, and target body is still selected. It's the whole thing. Tool body, however, is that internal. And remember, if you can't get at something, you can either hide everything else around it, or if you know which object it is on your hierarchy tree, you can just select that. There you go. And now I want to do a cut. So it's going to remove that internal section that I just drew out. Now, one thing you can do is when you do a cut with the combine tool, it's going to delete that original body. So I'm just to make sure, in case I want to make adjustments or something later, I'm going to say keep tools, and it'll just keep that body just as a form or just as a body. And if you want, you can, if you want to keep things separate, or you kind of want to stage your project out a little bit more, you can select the checkbox new component. So rather than it modifying all the things on the thing you're working for, it will complete that operation as a new component with its own bodies and everything. So I'm going to do that just to show you how to do that. Select OK. Okay, now it dropped the new component, all the things. So let me hide what I was working on and activate the new thing that it created. So now that is the finished thing. Now it does have just the one stand because that original body is there on the previous component, but I went ahead and activated that. Let me go ahead and rename it just so I can confuse myself slightly less. Amp stand. Cool. Okay. Now, is it a good design? Not really, but I need to make some some kind of extensions here, or maybe I chop down this bell housing. That would make a lot of sense, which I can easily do, but unhide my actual phone case and, or better yet, activate the whole project so everything is properly visible. And there we go. So that is an easy way to make like a really basic sleeve there and such, and using the tools that we have already learned how to create more of like a bell housing, megaphone thing, and chop out some areas in between, and using the old section analysis to actually see what I'm doing there. Now at the moment, using the section analysis, looks like I need the phone is currently overlapping that, but that's okay. We could just move that actual phone thing up a little bit. It's a separate object anyway. But you can also, the good thing about like that section analysis, now I can actually see, yep, there's a good amount of space on either side. I know the thing's going to fit, even if there's a little bit of shrinkage or anything with cooling with the filament or anything like that. So it'll all properly fit. We're all set. So that's an easy way to, or that is a way to make a stand like that, and using the section analysis tools and the different stuff we've used so far. Okay. And obviously I help you do whatever else you want. Yes, yes.